Get that cleaning cart out of here. This is a level 1 trauma bay, not a hallway. The chief of surgery didn't even look up. To him, she was just a ghost in scrubs, a janitor with a bucket. The Admiral lay on the table, skin gray, heart rate plummeting. 3 world-class specialists stood frozen, staring at the monitors. Ischemic colitis, one barked. No, it's a standard pulmonary embolism, the other countered. They were wrong, all of them. She dropped her mop, her eyes locked on the distended vein in the Admiral's neck, a rare, masked toxin. It's not his heart, she said, her voice a cold, sharp blade. And if you intubate him now, he's dead in 60 seconds. The room went silent. The clock was ticking. The chief of surgery moves like a storm. He steps toward her. His face is a mask of pure professional outrage. He does not see a person. He sees a janitor. He sees an obstacle. Out. Get her out now. The command is a bark. It echoes off the sterile tile. To security. Guards appear at the heavy double doors. They move fast. Their boots thud against the floor. They reach for her arms. She does not flinch. She does not look at them. Her focus is a laser. It is locked on the Admiral. The monitor screams. Heart rate is at 140. Blood pressure is 60/40, falling rapidly. The specialists are reaching for the intubation kit. They are preparing the wrong protocol. They are about to seal his fate. Stop. The word is not a shout. It is a blade. It cuts through the chaos of the room. The guards hesitate. The chief of surgery freezes. He stares at the woman holding a mop handle like a staff of office. She moves. It is not the movement of a cleaner. It is the calculated glide of an elite operator. She sidesteps the first guard. She ignores the second. She is at the bedside in 3 seconds. Look at his neck. Look at the left mastoid process. The specialists blink. They look at each other. They look at the chief. This is insane. This is a breach of every protocol in the building. One specialist tries to push her back. She brushes his hand away with a clinical flick of her wrist. Her eyes are cold. They are deep. They are filled with a knowledge that does not belong in this hallway. There is a faint blue tint behind the ear. It is the size of a pinhead. It is not a bruise. It is not a shadow. It is a localized subcutaneous reaction to a synthetic neurotoxin, specifically VX4 series. The room goes silent. The silence is heavy. It is thick. 47 seconds. That is what he has left. If you push that sedative, he dies. The paralytic will trigger a complete respiratory collapse that no ventilator can override. The chief of surgery steps forward. His voice is a low growl. You are a janitor. You have no right to speak. Security. Take her. The guards move again. They grab her shoulders. She plants her feet. She looks the chief in the eye. I am a janitor who just saved you from a murder charge. Look at the monitor. Look at the QRS complex. The specialists turn. The waves on the screen are changing. They are widening. It is a classic rhythmic anomaly. It is the signature of a toxin, not a heart attack, not a clot. The chief hesitates. The air in the room feels electric. The Admiral gasps. It is a wet sound. It is the sound of a man drowning on dry land. His vitals are a red blur on the screen. Heart rate is dropping now. 50, 45. The countdown has begun. The protagonist breaks free from the guards. She does not run. She acts. She knows exactly where the emergency card is. She knows exactly which drawer holds the atropine. She does not ask for permission. She does not wait for a signature. She rips the seal. 1.5 milligrams. Now. She plunges the needle into the IV line. The specialists are frozen. They are watching a ghost perform surgery. They are watching a legend emerge from the shadows. The chief of surgery opens his mouth to speak, but the words die. The monitor beeps. Long, flat tone. Asystole. He is gone. The specialists look at the floor. The guards let go of her arms. The room is a tomb. Wait. She leans over the Admiral. She watches his chest. She counts. 1, 2, 3. A pulse. The monitor chirps. A steady rhythm. A perfect rhythm. The blue tint behind the ear begins to fade. The gray color in his cheeks vanishes. The Admiral takes a deep breath. His eyes flutter open. He is alive. The protagonist steps back. She picks up her mop. She adjusts her uniform. She looks at the specialists. They are staring at her with mouths open. They are looking at her like she is a miracle. They are looking at her like she is a threat. The chief of surgery finds his voice. "Who are you?" She does not answer. She looks at the clock. The entire event took exactly 4 minutes. She turns away. She walks toward the door. The guards step aside. They do not touch her. They do not dare. The room remains in a stunned silence. The mockery is gone. The dismissal is dead. Its place is a terrifying realization. They have been walking past a lion every day and calling it a mouse. She disappears into the hallway. The Admiral watches her go. He tries to speak, but his voice is a whisper. Find her. The chief of surgery stands over the bed. He looks at the counteragent vial on the floor. He looks at the monitor. Everything he knew about his hospital just changed. Everything he knew about the woman in the gray scrubs was a lie. The revelation is complete. The hidden elite has been forced into the light. The heavy oak door of the executive office closes with a definitive click. It is a sound that signals the end of anonymity. The room is filled with the scent of expensive leather and stale coffee. The chief of surgery stands by the window. He does not sit. He is waiting for an explanation that fits into his world of degrees and accolades. But she remains standing. She is a shadow against the white walls. In the silence, her mind drifts back. It goes to a place where the air smells of iron and burning sand. She was not always a ghost in a hospital corridor. Years ago, she wore the insignia of an elite surgical unit in the darkest corners of the world. She was the one they called when the impossible was the only option. She was a master of combat triage. She was a woman who could stitch a life back together while mortar fire shook the earth beneath her boots. The memories are long and fluid. They are a river of fire. She remembers the dust. She remembers the screaming. Most of all, she remembers the betrayal. It happened in a high-level facility on the edge of a forgotten border, a mission that was never supposed to exist. She had found the evidence of a conspiracy. She had seen the names of men who traded lives for profit. When she tried to speak, the world she knew collapsed. They did not just dismiss her. They erased her. They framed her for a failure that was not hers to carry. She remembers the face of her younger brother on a gurney. He was her assistant. He was her heart. The supplies had been tampered with. The medicine was water. She had used every ounce of her elite skill to save him, but the system had already ensured his end. She watched the light leave his eyes because of a lie told by men in suits. The trauma became a shroud. She vanished into the civilian world. She chose the mop and the bucket because they required no signature. They required no trust. She suppressed her brilliance. She buried her hands in gray soapy water to keep them from feeling the phantom pulse of those she lost. Being a janitor was a sanctuary. It was a way to be close to the healing without being responsible for the hurt. The chief turns. His eyes search her face. He is looking for the arrogance of a surgeon, but he only finds the weariness of a survivor. He asks her where she learned to identify a VX series toxin. He asks why her name does not appear in any medical database in the country. She looks at her hands. They are steady now. The guilt is a heavy weight, but the sight of the Admiral surviving has cracked the shell of her isolation. She knows that by saving him, she has invited the wolves back to her door. The men who erased her will see the report. They will recognize the technique. They will know the ghost has returned to the living. She tells him nothing of the medals or the commendations. She speaks instead of the silence she has kept for 5 years. She explains that some skills are a curse. She explains that she did not want to be a hero again because being a hero costs more than she is left to pay. The prose of her life has been a long and tragic poem. She has lived in the margins of society because the center was too bright and too bloody. The chief of surgery sits down slowly. He begins to realize that the woman before him has seen more death than his entire surgical board combined. He sees the scars on her spirit. He understands that her diminished state was a choice born of a broken heart. The weight of the past hangs in the air between them. It is a thick and suffocating presence. She is no longer just a cleaner. She is a weapon that was broken and then hidden away. And now the world has found her again. The lights flicker. Once, twice, then the world turns pitch black. The hum of the hospital dies. A heavy, suffocating silence follows before the red emergency lights pulse to life. The backup generators should have kicked in instantly. They did not. This is not a technical failure. This is a calculated strike. The Admiral is still vulnerable. She moves before the chief can even process the darkness. She is out the door and sprinting toward the pharmacy hub. Her internal clock is ticking. The toxin has a secondary phase. The first dose of atropine was a bridge. Without the concentrated neutralizing agent, his heart will stop again in 12 minutes. She reaches the pharmacy vault. The glass is shattered. The lock has been bypassed with a digital override. The drawer for the neuroantagonist is empty. Systemic corruption. Someone on the inside cleared the shelves before she even picked up her mop this morning. The hospital intercom crackles with static. Code blue in the oncology ward. Code blue in the pediatric wing. The monitors are failing everywhere. The lack of power has triggered a cascade of secondary emergencies. Patients on ventilators are gasping. The hospital is screaming. She does not panic. She thrives in the wreckage. She bursts into the main ER station. The staff is in a frenzy. Nurses are fumbling with manual resuscitators. The chief of surgery arrives, looking lost in the red gloom. She steps into the center of the chaos. Listen to me. Now. Her voice is a whip. It demands order. You. Get to the basement. Check the fuel lines on the generators. They were likely manually closed. Take 2 security guards. Go. She turns to a resident who mocked her an hour ago. You. Forget the pharmacy. We need a makeshift compound. Find me every vial of pralidoxim in the surgical kits. I need 600 milligrams. Move. The resident hesitates for a split second. He looks at her eyes. He sees the elite commander. He sees the only person in the building who knows what to do. He nods. He runs. She is everywhere at once. She moves from bed to bed. A patient is crashing. Tension, pneumothorax. She grabs a large bore needle. No local anesthetic, no time. She plunges it into the chest. A hiss of air. The patient stabilizes. Another patient. Cardiac arrest. She performs a precordial thump with a precision that looks like violence, but feels like a miracle. The heart restarts. The skeptics are watching. They are no longer doubting. They are following. They are becoming her hands. She is the brain of the institution now. 8 minutes left for the Admiral. The pharmacy resident returns. He is pale. I only found 400 milligrams. The rest is gone. Then, we synthesize the rest from the lab supplies. That is impossible. We do not have the equipment calibrated. I am the equipment. She leads them into the dark lab. She uses a manual pipette. She measures by sight. She counts the drops by the rhythm of her own pulse. 1, 2, 3. The mixture turns a pale amber. The Admiral's room is 3 floors up. The elevators are dead. 5 minutes. She takes the stairs. She does not breathe hard. She is a machine built for this exact moment of institutional collapse. She reaches the trauma bay. The Admiral's monitor is flatlining. The line is a steady, haunting red. She pushes the needle into the central line. She doesn't wait for the machine to tell her he is alive. She feels for the carotid. Come back. The lights slam on. The power is restored. The generators roar to life. The monitor chirps. A strong, booming beat fills the room. The Admiral gasps. His eyes lock onto hers. The chief of surgery stands in the doorway. He's covered in sweat. He looks at the woman in the stained scrubs. He looks at the staff who are all standing behind her, waiting for her next command. She is no longer the janitor. She is the general. And the war has just begun. The morning sun bleeds through the high windows of the recovery suite, casting long golden bars across the floor she used to scrub. The Admiral is propped up against the pillows. He is no longer a patient. He is a lion returned to his throne. His eyes, sharp and clear, follow the woman in the doorway. She is still wearing the gray utility shirt, but she carries it like a ceremonial robe. The Admiral speaks. His voice is a low rumble of thunder. I remember that technique. I remember the way you held the line at the border 5 years ago. You were the ghost they said didn't exist. They told me you were dead. They told the world you were a traitor. The protagonist stands still. For the first time, the weight in her chest feels lighter. The Admiral reaches for the secure phone on his bedside table. He does not call his staff. He does not call the hospital. Bored. He dials a direct line that bypasses every gatekeeper in the Capitol. The call goes straight to the White House. The conversation is short. It is clinical. He speaks of a debt owed to a patriot. He speaks of a conspiracy that ends today. He uses her real name, a name that hasn't been spoken aloud in half a decade. By the time he hangs up, the shadow that followed her from the war zone has been incinerated by the light of the truth. The door opens. The chief of surgery enters. He is followed by the board of directors and the specialists who once tried to have her arrested. The air in the room shifts. The chief steps forward. He does not look at the Admiral. He looks at her. He bows his head. It is a slow, heavy movement of total submission. I owe you more than an apology. We all do. We saw a uniform, and we chose to be blind to the person wearing it. You are the finest medical mind I have ever seen. He offers a folder. It is not an invitation to return to the cleaning crew. It is a contract for a newly created position, Director of Emergency Response and Trauma Strategy. It is a role with the power to change the entire institution. The transformation is quiet, but total. She does not gloat. She does not demand the heads of those who doubted her. Her vindication is found in the silence of her success. Months pass. The epilogue of her life is written in lives saved and a system reformed. She no longer walks the hallways as a ghost. She walks them as a leader. The staff no longer look past her. They look to her. The mop has been replaced by the stethoscope, but the humility remains. She stands at the helipad watching a transport bird arrive. She is no longer hiding. She's no longer afraid of the light. She has stepped out of the shadows of her trauma and into a legacy of underdog excellence. The woman who diagnosed what 3 specialists missed has finally found her way home.